Hey, how you doing? It's 4:20. Let's get high. Yes. So I thought I would continue to speak a little bit about music. There's kind of two sides to music. One is the music, and the other is the song. And in the Torah, we have 10 songs like are written into the Torah. Like when we left Egypt and became a people, we sang Shir Hayam. We sang the song of going through the water. How do we sing the song? I mean, we just were going through the water. Someone made up a song already. So the songs are prophecy. And it said there was so much clarity when we went through the Yam that even the child in the womb pointed and said, there is God. Everyone saw the revelation. Of course, the revelation wasn't, God. God can't be revealed because God's nothing physical or spirituals. God's everywhere revealed, not revealed to us. Thank God. If we saw God everywhere, that's all there would be. It says, if God, it's a metaphor, obviously. God doesn't have a body or anything, but it says if God would put God's little finger into creation, that all of creation with nisraf would just burn up. Too much. And even when it says that God, spoke to Moshe, and it says the exact words, but it wasn't. It was God, but the voice came from Metatron, the angel of the earth, and even at that, it was most prophets, not Moshe, most prophets would just fall on the ground. In the time of the prophets, there were schools of prophets, and these guys, when they would get prophecy, they were called Meshuganim. Meshuganim means like crazy people, but it means people who are different. And they would like go around these groups, and they would be playing their instruments and singing songs, and they would get so happy because they were trying to draw down prophecy. And then when they would get prophecy, they'd throw off all their clothes and they would prostrate themselves on the ground and they would speak their prophecy. And people called them Meshuganim. And, anyways, and some were written down. Some was stuff that was pertinent for the time. Some was stuff which was pertinent for all time. That stuff was written down and put into books. But music always played a big part. For example, it says that when we would go to the temple in Jerusalem, and for Sukkot, for the holiday of Sukkot, and people would come from all over the world to bring sacrifices to the temple because there were just so many miracles, and it just drew people from everywhere. And you would come, and the ones who could afford they would buy cows or sheep, and they would bring them as a Thanksgiving offering to the Creator. It was recognized that this was just one of the hubs in the world of spirituality, and this was a place to come, no matter who you are, what you believe, and what you did. This was a common place. Everyone could come and bring bring an animal of Thanksgiving, and the animal would be shechted, would be slaughtered on the altar, and the different parts we would take out. It would be, we would go on the altar and be burned, and then everyone would eat it. Big party. And there would be wine, and and people would get so happy, and there was the orchestra playing through all of this, and people were just so happy that they would get prophecy. But the time of prophets is long gone. It says prophets now are only in the mouths of children and fools. And but the songs certainly persist. And it says the greatest of all the songs is Shir HaShirim, Song of Songs, which is a love song between God and the Jewish people, because the rules, the laws of marriage is that the man has to give something of value to the woman. And as like, I'm giving you this to marry you. If you take this from me, knowing my intention is to marry you, we are now married. And the woman can say, no, I don't want it. And but if she takes it, that's it, they're married, mazel tov, So that's what happened at Har Sinai. We left Egypt, and then we went for 49 days in the desert. And on the 50th day, we received the Torah. And this is the marriage. And it's interesting, it's a one-day holiday. Nonetheless, we observe it for 2 days. Now, many of the holidays are like that. The rabbis threw in another day for certain reasons. But this has nothing to do with the rabbis. This is for a very cool reason. God, it says that Bereshit can also, the letters can be turned around to a Boreshesh. Because the 6th days of creation, also the 6th day of Sivon, when we received the Torah, that all creation was based upon that. Because God needed a people in the world who would receive the Torah and do the 613 commandments. And we did it. We're the Jewish people. We did it. And this was our marriage. God gave us these 10 commandments, which were engraved all the way through. It was a cube engraved all the way through. And there were 5 commandments on one side and 5 on the other. An impossibility unless you're God and can put every atom where it needs to be. And that's who gave us the Torah. And at that point, we gave ourselves to God, saying we will do the 613 commandments. And I want to say a few things. I can't say them all at once. Well, I'll just go with this. That 613 is how they break up the line. See, there's 613 commandments. They're separated. 248 positive commandments, things you got to do, and then 365 commandments, things you're not allowed to do. And then the body is also broken up in 248 limbs and 365 connecting tissues. These guys knew like a lot of anatomy. And and then also, like we're built in like kind of 7 limbs. We have the head, we have the 2 arms, the 2 legs, that's 5. We have the torso, 6, and we have the sex is 7. See, and the 7 outer planets are all the planets have moons. The Mercury and Venus don't have moons, and it says that's where life is from Earth until Pluto. These are like the 7 heavens. And they're separated the 365 days that the Earth goes around the sun, and the 248 years that Pluto goes around the sun. And so anyways, so the other thing I wanted to say is that it was a marriage, and the whole thing about marriage is sex. In the law, in Jewish law, Like when a man marries a woman, the only thing he gets is he has the right to have sex with her. And he separates her from all other men. It is where the word kaddish comes from. They translate it as holy, but it really means separated. So a man's kaddish, a woman, separates that woman from all of her men. Up until that time, she could have sex with whoever she wanted to. And the reason that we do that is because the sex is better. When you have a woman that's like just given to you, that's just, yours, but only the sex. And even that, the man is not allowed to, to require the woman to have sex with him. On the contrary, that she can only have sex with the man, but only when she wants. That's Jewish law. That the woman has to want. If the woman doesn't have to want, the man can go fly a kite. I'm going to tell you a stupid joke. There was a guy out flying the kite, and his wife yells out the window, you don't have enough tail on the kite. Last night you told me to go fly a kite. Anyways, bad joke. Anyways, so so we gave ourselves to God, and God gave us the 613 commandments, and it says without a people doing the 613 commandments, that the world cannot exist. In the same way, the world cannot exist without air. And these 613 commandments correspond to these different parts of the body. And whenever a person does one, then it enlivens, the body. And because the soul is, this is what the soul of the Jewish people live from. And we're supposed to do this in order to be a funnel through which just light can come into the world, and everyone in the world can enjoy this light. And not only are these seven in the planets, the seven heavens, and the seven continents of the earth, which are mentioned many times in the Zohar. It was written 2,000 years ago. And the same, because there's seven in the heaven, it has to be seven on the earth. And we find out there's seven lands on the earth. And each one corresponds to another tone of the seven notes. And even though there's other ways to play music, it's not everything is seven based. Nonetheless, that because this is imprinted in the heavens, it is something that is very strong. It's like a natural kind of tone, and which I want to also say that our earth is called Tevel, and Tevel has a gematria of 432, and 432 happens to be the resonance, in hertz. 432 hertz is like the resonance is not really the right word, but it's like the vibration of the earth. And musicians always used to tune to 432 until 1939. And some people say this has to do with the beginning of propaganda, that they changed the tuning to a few hertz off. It was 432, maybe 440 or something, or 448, 438, but they changed it. And so, most people, certainly I couldn't tell the difference. Probably most people couldn't tell the difference. But the body tells the difference. The earth feels the difference because we're not in sync. We're dancing at a different tune than the earth is. And that certainly has come about. That and as a result, the earth isn't in very good shape, and either is the human being. And it seems to me also that this idea of dancing, and that's another thing I wanted to mention about music, is that music is in the heart. Why is it in the heart? Because that keeps the beat. It's in the heart, and it makes emotions, and those emotions have a oh, hi, Erez. And those that's what I was going to say. Uh, uh, oh yes, that these things, like, they have a resonance, and that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to dance together. And in having, like, sort of social intercourse, people are supposed to, like, dance together. Life is really about dancing, and it's really because, I know what I wanted to say, that out of this comes a new kind of knowledge, and this knowledge is expressed through the feet, and that's when we dance. And when the music goes into a person to such a degree that you're just vibrating with this music and the feet just dance, how do they do that? And it's a special kind of knowledge, and it's a very important part. Particularly now, we're in the last weeks of the 7 weeks, which have to do with the lower part of the body, which that's what connects the earth. The 2 feet in the sex, that's the lower triangle. And the 2 feet actually touch the earth, walk upon the earth, and the human being in heaven is called Mahalik, someone who can walk. It says the angels, like birds, they don't walk, they jump. But the human being, we're a Mahalik, and when we die and go to heaven, we stand. We can't walk anymore. What does it mean that we stand? It means that, where we are, that's where we are. Wherever we got to by being in the earth, from walking in the earth, from making ourselves, we used to be like that, but now I'm like this. And this is called repentance. And tikkun, that you make yourself, you fix yourself, you become a better human being. And as a result of becoming a better human being, you make a mark in the earth, and you get to a higher level. You have to go to Mount Everest to get to a higher level. You can just, and it's interesting, I've just seen it throughout my life, in my studies, in my life, that things that I struggle with, at one point, you get it, and it's like you're on a plateau. Now it's easy peasy, no problem. But for a long time, it was very hard. And suddenly it's easy. And then you want more, and you start going higher. And the same it is in life when a person is fixing themselves, or they have something wrong. And if they're not dancing with their partner, or with the partners in the world, or with God, or with the ground, or, you're just kind of out of it. Something's wrong. You're not getting the music inside of you. And certainly that's why they had a big band, many instruments in the temple, and violins without end, and all sorts of other instruments. And they had singers, the Levim. See, you have 12 tribes of the Jewish people. There were 12 sons of Yaakov. Each became a tribe. But the tribe of Levi, he was the third son. That from him were taken off the family of it escapes my mind. Anyways, Moshe's father. And his Moshe's brother Aaron, he became the Kohen. So his family, until today, people know who the Kohen is. They're always called to the Torah first, and they're giving like a lot of honor, because when the third temple comes down, they will work in the temple. It wasn't all good times. It says that the Kohanim, that they had a lot of stomach problems because they had to go barefoot in the temple, and it was cold, and that gave them stomach problems. But they had lots to eat. There was always lots to eat in the temple, and there was lots of things to do. And the Kohanim are very skilled at what they do. Every little thing that they do it in, and still to this day. And they were known actually for their great beauty, of having red hair and blue eyes, and just very beautiful stature. And it was one of the requirements in the temple that you didn't have to be beautiful to go there, but to work there, you had to be a beautiful man. Only the men worked in the temple, because the whole thing, this whole 6,000 years of man, So, anyways, but the men had to be beautiful men. If you had something wrong with you, if you were bald, if your ears were too big, or your nose was too long, or your lips were something, or you had a spot in your eye, or you were crooked, or your limbs, anything like that, you couldn't work in the temple. You could go out and work, pile up the wood for the fires and stuff like that, which is a great honor, but you couldn't work in the temple, because inside the temple, everything was beautiful. These people were known to be very, very beautiful people and very smart people, until the rabbis came along. They were the ones who really held the knowledge of the Torah. People had a question, came there. And even after that along with the Torah was built, the Beit Knesset, as I call it, I forget what it's called, but it was a place where it was right there next to the temple, this huge building where everyone could come in and find an authority to speak to. And here's the thing, and here's how this whole thing developed into something very rotten called religion, is because at that time, authority meant opinion. Now, there certainly were authorities amongst the rabbis, where the rabbis acknowledged that a certain person had authority, and he was able to say what the law was, and everyone had to do that. And there's stories in the Talmud about this, that one rabbi made another rabbi like carry his shoes to the bathhouse to show everyone that his opinion was the right opinion, that this guy was, he was Modi, he was agreeing to that, But they didn't have authority over the people. They only could express their opinion. They could say, well, this is how you should do the mitzvah, but if you do it another way, hey man, that's between you and God. Only if there was a problem with a person, if you stole, or you hurt someone, or took someone's land, or destroyed something, then you'd come to the rabbis. But that's different. That's like a court of law, for damages. But if there's no damage, if the rabbis say, you have to keep the Shabbat, and people say, I don't want to, I don't want to do it the way you do it. The rabbis have no power. But what happened in the Galut, in the exile, is we became more like Rome. And all of a sudden, religion took on power, and the rabbis could actually force people to live the way they said to live, or you had to get out of the community. And that goes on until today. I mean, it's become very political. I mean, just like, all religions become political. And there's nothing religious in Torah. No word religion. There is nothing. We're all supposed to be free. And we're supposed to have our own singular relationship with the Creator. And certainly if the Jewish people, who have 613 commandments and laws without end, will do that, then that will encourage everyone else in the world to let go of their spiritual God and feel free to talk to God. God's right here, man. The thing with talking to God is God doesn't talk back. Unless you're a prophet or something, God will never talk back. But it doesn't stop us from talking to God. And God can fiddle around in creation to sometimes change things and rip up bad spiritual decrees. So, it's good to go to the Creator because because the Creator creates everything. People want to try to put some sort of form onto the Creator without realizing until the Creator created form, there wasn't any form. The first form was a dot, like a dot of water, but God was able to break it up into different, we know we can't break up water, but God can do this. God can do anything. But the thing that God did is made creation b'chokmah, made creation, with, brains, with, logic. And we expect logic. We expect the sun to come up in the west. It comes up in the west. Where does it come up? It comes up in the east. Can't remember now. It goes down in the west, because here we're I remember once I was really stoned. It was in the 60s. I called the operator. Those days you could talk to the operators. And there was this nice young girl as an operator. And I kept telling her, it was like 4 a.m. And I said, I really want to, go out to the ocean, go out to the Pacific and see the sunrise. And she kept laughing at me. And we had a nice talk. You should have asked her out on a date. Anyways, people didn't do that. Maybe they did. I don't know. Anyways, so what we're supposed to do, what God wants us to do, is to have an individual relationship with God. And God is right here, and we talk, and God hears us. There's no question God hears us. And it says God answers every prayer, except sometimes the answer is no. And oftentimes we find later, God didn't give me what I wanted. And we find, God was right. So here's an interesting thing. There's only 2 Semitic people, the Arabs and the Jews. We're the 2 Semitic people. We're direct descendants from Abraham. And Abraham taught us each a language according to our nature. And Ishmael got Arabic, and Yitzchak got Hebrew. And these were languages that could contain prophecy. And so the Jewish people, we got the Torah, and the Arabic people, through Muhammad the Prophet, got the Quran. And the Quran, I guess the practice of the Quran is called Islam. And Islam means submit. We know, and we see that the Muslims, they're very devotional people. And this is what you do, they do it. That's it. It's Ramadan, they fast. Some people know why they're fasting. We have no idea. It doesn't matter. We do it, we submit. See? But the Jewish people, and we're called, from the world, Yehudim, which that's how they get Jewish. The translation from Yehudim to Rome came out Jewish, and Yehudim comes from the word hodu, which means to admit. So one submits and one admits. Submits means God asks them to do something, they do it. Admit means God asks us to do something, we argue. And we argue until finally we admit. All right, you're right. And that's our relationship with God. So I was asked a question. I'm happy to answer your questions. Is all space public space? Well, this strikes right at the Talmud, because the Talmud deals with law, and one of the big deals of law is defining space. So first of all, there's private space. And that's the space that's usually, within the walls of a house, or the gates, or the yard. And that's private space. And then there's many questions about, like, if you, like, I live in a back house. So if I were to make too much noise, and we're kind of sharing this space, and there's lots of things about your privacy and noise and how much, because a person has certain rights. And the most minimal rights is you have the rights of the area around you. And no one can tell you, get off that place, When we die, that's the amount of space you have around you. Wherever you are, that space belongs to you. If you're in public space, so that's the other is public space. So the other is public space, and there's ways that we work together in public space. Because, for example, you have a road, so someone can't go and dig a hole in the road and say it's public space, man, or build a fire on the sidewalk. So and the public space is governed, by the community. And then there's what's called Carmelis. And Carmelis it's not public and it's not private. It's kind of like open space. And there you're allowed to go, and like no one has rights over you. It's just the earth. And of course, like in our time, and whether it's good or bad, I don't know, but we have spaces, and we make them into parks. And now the government has rulership over the space, and they end up wanting to mine the minerals in it. And one of the reasons that the native people of America keep getting shifted from here to there is they discover they shifted them somewhere where there's no resource, and they find out a big resource, and I got to shift you over here. And it's now what's going on. I just want to mention that. It's an amazing thing where an indigenous person now is the head of that department. And I'm sure all the indigenous people are really, really happy about that. And, they really, really deserve, to be preserved and to be helped. And, for their languages to be saved and their ways to be saved. And it's just such a crime, really, on every American that we all need to rectify this. It's just terrible. And so many things need to be rectified. Things have to really change, and things are going to change. And I'm going to do what I can do to help. And my next book is going to blow them out of the water. Anyways, thank you very much for listening to me. Remember, it'll be 4:20 tomorrow also. And until then, stay high, stay happy. We're going into 1,000 years of woman in peace. The things are only getting better. Bye.